Hello, I'm Agachao. Welcome to Myanmar Today Review, and this is where we revisit the top stories from this week from Myanmar Today. Here are the reports from our reporters from this week. Public requested to cooperate in contact tracing of COVID-19 confirmed cases. COVID-19 restrictions extended to end of September. Books on government's reformation works released. COVID-19 resurgence causes sluggishness in the Yangon vegetables market. Before we get to the reports, let's take a look at featured local news from this week. Following the COVID-19 crisis, India has been putting off bean purchase despite its requirements, Min Ko-u, Secretary of Myanmar Pulses Beans and Sesame Seeds Merchant Association, pointed out. He said that they can guess there are bean requirements in India. They will respond to it sooner or later. The COVID-19 impacts hinder supply chain. India rapidly changed the import period of 400,000 tons of black bean to 3 months by August end 2020 from the earlier set deadline of March 2021 as per their official note on the 22nd of May. The value of shares traded on the Yangon Stock Exchange YSX in August sank to the lowest level of 747 million checks this year, according to YSX's monthly report. The trading volume also plunged to an 8-month low of 118,850 shares in August. The stock markets worldwide have reported their largest decline since the 2008 financial crisis. Similarly, the local equities market is also scared by the COVID-19 crash, and the market observer points out. Moreover, Myanmar people like to invest in property, currency, and gold market. Most of the local people are accustomed to investing in the gold market rather than the stock market. Myanmar trade gap has significantly surged to $1.54 billion as of 21st of August in the current financial year 2019 and 2020 from over $1 billion registered in the corresponding period of 2018 and 2019 financial year, according to the data provided by the Ministry of Commerce. Between the 1st of October and 21st of August in the current financial year, Myanmar's external trade increased to over $33 billion from $31.2 billion recorded in the year-ago period. While exports were estimated at $15.7 billion, imports were valued at $17.27 billion. Acting on the information that some KTVs and nightclubs in Yangon still open despite the COVID-19 outbreak, Yangon Region Police Officer inspected the Lax KTV on Siasen Road, Sasana Ward, Ahan Township of Yangon, and the Privacy KTV on Bidangzu Road, Ward 45, and the Gomyote North Township, Yangon on 2nd of September night. The Work Committee of the National Level Central Committee on Prevention, Control and Treatment of the COVID-19 has ordered all KTVs and nightclubs to close during the COVID-19 crisis. And I believe it's time now for our first report. State Councillor hosted a video conferencing on the 2nd of September at which the current situation of the contact tracing of COVID-19 confirmed cases was discussed. Representatives from the Ministry of Home Affairs, General Administration Office, and Public Health Department talked about how they're dealing with the contact tracing and what the challenges are. The public is requested to fully participate for contact tracing as the increasing rate is getting higher.
State Councillor Aung San Suu Kyi, in her capacity as the chairperson of the National Level Central Committee on Prevention, Control and Treatment of COVID-19, hosted the video conferencing focusing on the contact tracing of the COVID-19 confirmed cases with the participants Deputy Minister for Home Affairs Major General So Tenai, District Administrator of General Administration Office Yangon South District Ne Win Ao, and Deputy Director of Department of Public Health Yangon Region Dr. Tasumo. It was announced that if someone fails to follow the regulations against the COVID-19 spread, they can be charged in accordance with the Natural Disaster Management Law. At the time being, the infection rate is so fast, reaching more than 900, so that the contact tracing is also being accelerated.
In order to contain the spread of COVID-19, the public have to collaborate with us. This is difficult to trace the contact person with the positive patients. It consumes manpower, finance, and time. The resurgence of COVID-19 outbreak started in Rakhine State. But according to the latest data, the infection is also getting high in Yangon. The regulations are still in effect, and we will take action against the violence. If the infection spreads the whole country, it will be difficult to give proper treatment.
At first, when the local transmission was stable, it had to deal with the returnees. The problem is that there are also illegal returnees entering through the border gates. This is challenging to combat the spread of infection.
For the returnees entering through border gates, the police force has already collected the profile of them once they enter through the official entrance gates and systematically send them to quarantine centers. So, it is easy to do contact tracing if the returnees turn out to be tested positive. But for the illegal entrants, sometimes we know their entrance when they are tested positive. Then, the contact tracing becomes difficult and challenging.
According to Dr. Tatsumo, Department of Public Health contacts the positive patients and their families. Then they are taken to the medical centers or quarantine centers. People who are the most close to the confirmed patients are defined as the primary contacts. Because of the fear of the people, it is difficult to collect the full information of the contact persons.
The Department of Public Health contacts the positive patients, and our responsibility is to cooperate with the team taking the positive patients to the medical centers for management and safety. Then we have to work for the contact tracing. Sometimes the contact persons are frightened and they do not give full information, so that we are difficult to trace them. We have to educate the public. At present, the contact tracing plays a crucial role as the people are going outside. If we are late to perform contact tracing, the infection will get faster. The awareness programs are continually carried out to be reminded of the current condition and to follow the health guidelines.
The Ministry of Health and Sports announced to inform them about the travel history to and from Rakhine State, where the resurgence of local transmission occurs. From 10th of August, there are over 7,000 people coming back to Yangon from Rakhine State.
In the earlier period, the infection rate was slow and the death rate remains at 6. This is because we can only detect the contact persons, put them into quarantine, and give treatment if tested positive. To keep doing this, at the current time, we need the cooperation. Now, the positive patients from Yangon reach over 400. We are imposing stay-at-home orders in specific townships of Yangon. The individual has to take care of themselves and their surroundings. The government will support as much as we can, and this is the duty of the citizens to make the government's support effective.
According to the situation report by the Ministry of Health and Sports, until 31st August, there are 290 suspected persons under investigation, 82 people under hotel quarantine, and over 20,000 people under facility quarantine in the whole country.
That's the report on public requested to cooperate in contact tracing of COVID-19 confirmed cases. With the aim of controlling the current outbreak and infection spread of COVID-19, the National Level Central Committee on Prevention, Control and Treatment of COVID-19 announced that the restrictions against COVID-19 are extended to the end of September. This includes the ban on gathering of more than 30 people, the closure of hostels, cinemas, and classes, and the ban on festivities and the suspension of the arrival of international visitors. Tora Swezin has more.
The national-level Central Committee on Prevention, Control and Treatment of COVID-19 released an announcement stating that the remaining preventive measures against the spread of COVID-19 will be still in effect until the end of September. The national-level Central Committee reviewed the local condition and extended the restrictions every 2 weeks. But this time, in the light of the occurrence of the resurgence of COVID-19 in Rakhine State and local transmitted cases being found in other states and regions, the committee extended the restrictions for 1 month. The restrictions were issued including the stay-at-home order, ban on social gathering, and closures of specific places. When the COVID-19 situation was stable locally, the government relaxed the restrictions step by step. The remaining restrictions, which are not eased yet, include the ban on social gathering of more than 30 people, the closures of hostels, cinemas, and classes, and the ban on festivities. Moreover, the stay-at-home order is still in effect in the whole state of Rakhine, and the schools are ordered to shut after about 1 month of high schools reopening. The arrival of international visitors is still suspended until the end of September. Dr. Situlin, a specialist from Yangon Workers Hospital, said.
No matter how the government release the restrictions and orders, if the citizens do not follow the rules, the orders cannot be effective. So the citizens have to follow the regulations released by the government. And on the other side, the government should take actions of any violence against the restrictions. I want to suggest the citizens not to be careless. I witnessed that the citizens in Yangon are going out without proper reasons. It is better to go out only when necessary, such as going for work. The citizens have to be reminded that the government issued the order because it is necessary, and they have to be aware of the consequences of failing to follow the restrictions. If you have contact with the persons coming back from Rakhine State where the outbreak happens, please don't hide but contact the authorities concerned. If it is necessary to be in quarantine, it is important to follow these quarantine rules.
The infection in Rakhine State is so fast and the rate of increase in positive patients is high, and the concerns are growing about the spread of virus not to center the crowded areas, especially Yangon. Since the restrictions have already been relaxed enough for walking, it is still necessary to control the possible cause of infection spread, such as opening of hostels or cinemas, where the crowd of more than 30 people can happen. Even though the restrictions may have impacts on specific businesses such as movie industry, teaching classes, tourism industry, what's important for the time being is to take the outbreak under control. Dr. Tim, regional representative from South Glabra Constituency 1, spoke to MI Radio.
I support that the restrictions are still in effect because the infection rate is high. It is safe for all the citizens. If the restrictions are relaxed more, it is more dangerous. The citizens are careless if the infection is not found in their areas. But now, since the confirmed cases are also found in Yangon region, they have become more aware. I want to encourage the citizens to wear masks, wash hands, and, if possible, to practice social distancing. It is also important to follow the restrictions, such as not organizing or going to festivities.
A resident from Yangon region also expressed his opinion about the extension of the restrictions.
We all are facing with losses in business and employment. If it is unfortunate, we can be infected from silent carriers. We have to be aware of going outside. This is not good for us if the disease lasts longer. However, at the present time, it is better to extend the restrictions. If the citizens are not under control, the situation will be worse. We need to follow the restrictions released by the government, and the government should also make more public awareness and give more assistance.
The Ministry of Health and Sports calls for the cooperation of the citizens to inform them about the travel history to Rakhine State or the contact with the positive patients. News reported by Dora Susan from Myanmar International Radio.
That's a report on COVID-19 restrictions extended to end of September. As it has been about 4 years since the current government was formed, the books on what the government has been doing have been published by the Ministry of Information, which was introduced to the public on the 27th of August at the office of the Ministry of Information in Naypyidaw. It is hoped that the public will learn and understand what the government have been doing and collaborate with the government for further progress. Williamson has the full report.
17 different books on the reformation works of the current government was released and introduced to the public on 27th of August at the office of the Ministry of Information in Naypyidaw, where the Union Minister for the Ministry of Information and other top officials from different ministries and departments attended the event. As it has been more than 4 years, publishing books on the works, projects, and reformation and other initiatives taken by the government is one of the best ways to tell the public about what the government has been doing. Although there are media platforms operating under the Ministry of Information, publishing books can also make a huge change in telling the reformation work being carried out by the government, according to Dr. Pei Myin, Union Minister for the Ministry of Information. Speaking at the event, Dr. Pei Myin said,
Initially, the main task for the Ministry of Information in the past was publishing. Even when we look at the colonial time, when the British ruled, the main task was to publish what was the government doing so that the public can learn and understand what their government is doing, keeping all the records of what the government is doing. Therefore, the genesis for the Ministry of Information is publication, and then we transformed into radio and television later on, where we also have information and public relation for a better relation between the government and the public. Although publication is least known to the public, it is one of the prioritized tasks for the Ministry of Information, as the Ministry of Information is the bridge which connects between the government and the public, which is why we want to tell to the public what the government is doing. Our motto itself is giving information, knowledge, and entertaining the public, and today, introducing the books is aimed to impart the information to the public.
According to Dr. Pei Myin, as the present government was elected by civilians, it has a duty to report to the public on what it has been doing, where this Ministry of Information is the main bridge to connect between the government and the public. At the event, all the attendees from the respective ministries and departments were presented the newly introduced books. Utuntonai, Permanent Secretary of the Ministry of Planning, Finance and Industry, also gave his remarks, and he said,
As its main goals, the present government has been working hard with the people for rule of law, the socio-economic development of the people, reconciliation and peace in constructing democratic federal nation. We have records on yearly walks of all the departments from different states and regions for the past 4 years. However, in order to keep all the records for long, it cannot be done without the collaborative efforts between the Ministry of Information and the public. If we are to record all the works performed by the government, we will have many more books than we have today. Among many works done by the government, we have books on salient points of all the works, as it has been carefully documented. These books will be very useful for sure. I also believe that the people will learn and understand the work being carried out by the government and work together for the good of the nation.
Apart from the works of the government, the speeches given by high-ranking governmental officials have also been recorded in these books to understand the views and the opinions of different leaders and officials. According to the report, a set of books, which contains 17 different books, cost more than 400,000 kyat.
That's the report on books on government's reformation works released. The Yangon wholesale fruit, vegetables, and flower market located in Yangon, on which the consumers and those who are selling back their respective retail markets can rely, has seen a sluggish run in its sales force from this reason that the number of COVID-19 cases has surged to more than 100 during these days. The growers and the producers from the respective Yangon outskirt areas come to sell fruit, vegetables and flowers in the Yangon wholesale market, and it is also a reliable market for the retailers and the consumers. For this reason, strict anti-COVID-19 measures are under implementation, by which the sellers and the buyers must abide. It was reported by Suiman and Nauli.
The Yangon wholesale fruit, vegetables, and flower market located in Yangon, on which the consumers and those who are selling back in their respective retail markets can rely, has seen a sluggish run in its sales force for the reason that the number of COVID-19 cases has surged to more than 100 during these days. The growers and the producers from the respective Yangon outskirt areas come to sell fruit, vegetables, and flowers in the Yangon wholesale market, and it is also a reliable market for the retailers and the consumers. For this reason, strict anti-COVID-19 measures are under implementation, by which the sellers and the buyers must abide. Dawson Samuel, green grocer from Tingzaya Town, said,
I sell bamboo shoot, the elephant food yam tuber, and jangor. Before the pandemic, there were good and bad days for the sales. I earned maximum of 100,000 jats. When the days were good sale with me, when the days were bad sale with me, I earned maximum of 40,000 to 50,000 jats. Since the start of this pandemic, the sales have not been good unlike before. Normally, the sales rate is high at the weekends, but not at the weekdays. Only few customers have come as the virus infected rate has increased these days. That's all we are facing now. Over the past years, we earn maximum 1,000 jat and above, even if we started selling in the afternoon of a day. But now we earn only maximum of 50,000 jats, even though we are selling from the morning till the evening.
Such sluggish run in the sales force of the Yangon wholesale market is due to the resurgence of the COVID-19. Although the sellers place attention to the observance of COVID-19 preventive measures, there has been a decline in the number of comers to the market, and the trade becomes colder than before. Dot Tan, retailer from number 14 Ward Market of Langtaya Township, Yangon, said,
Buying is not good these days because of the rare vegetables, and the prices are also high. In the same way, the selling is not good amid COVID-19 as well. Local customers is one of the reasons of decreasing in the selling condition. I used to come here in the Yangon wholesale market because here I can see varieties of choices and the prices are reasonable. I don't buy the vegetables 2 or 3 days ahead in case they should be gone if I'm unable to sell all out. I'm buying this little by little every day. Now the prices are high and the raw is rare, so buying is not good.
The market researchers pointed out short-term and long-term plans are required to stabilize the impacts on the market and the economy, including the basic commodities, due to the occurrence of the pandemic. U Aungmin, Secretary of Market Research Association of Yangon, said,
I
have to say that COVID-19 is a long-term case, and long-term means we have prepared for the short term, like how to survive and how to make a business plan for survival in certain business. And after making a business plan, there might be a lot of effects and losses for the national support that's not enough in a country like the United States. There are a lot of necessities even if the millions of cash are supported. So a developing country like us cannot stand only by depending upon the government, but we have to find a way for the long term, like 3 or 6 months. We'll see how things will work out during this time period in 2020 and also in 2021. If so, I believe we can remedy the current crisis. I have have to say that we need more cooperation between the ministries during the important time. There are committees formed by the ministry. The committee includes 4 or 5 ministries, relevant associations, and the scholars, and so that is how we could figure things out.
The inflation rate of Myanmar remained 9 to 10% in every month throughout the 2019 fiscal year, starting from April in 2020 when the COVID-19 started breaking out in the country. The prices had been dropping due to the effect on the demand and the supply. The prices in consumer goods and fuel remained lower than before, according to the official statistics conducted by the Market Research Association of Yangon by reviewing the government figures.
This is a report on COVID-19 resurgence causing sluggishness in Yangon vegetables market. Now to short international news. Chinese President Xi Jinping said Thursday that he's ready to work with his Russian counterpart Vladimir Putin to join efforts with the international community to resolutely safeguard the victory of the World War II, as well as the international fairness and justice. President Xi made the remarks in an exchange of messages with Putin to celebrate the 75th anniversary of the victory of the World Anti-Fascist War. The European Union's top diplomat called on Thursday for Washington to reverse its sanctions on International Criminal Court prosecutor Fatou Bensouda and another member of the ICC, calling the measures unacceptable and unprecedented. The United States blacklisted Bensouda on Wednesday over her investigation into whether American forces committed war crimes in Afghanistan under sanctions authorized by President Donald Trump in June that allow for asset freezes and travel bans. Sanctions were also imposed on Pakiso Muchochoko, the head of the Hague-based ICC jurisdiction, Complementarity and Cooperation Division. China will introduce a negative list for cross-border trade and services by the end of 2020 in order to promote the institutional opening up in the services sector, the Ministry of Commerce said on Thursday. The country has seen robust services demand and relatively rapid services imports, MOC official Shang Guoyi told the press conference. He said that China will continue to open the services sector to the outside world, import more high-quality services, actively expand service exports, encourage high-quality services to go global, and enhance the international competitiveness of the country's services. That's all with the news and reports on Myanmar Today Review. We'll be back next week. Thank you for watching.